Hey guys, this is Scott. I am talking to you about my lesson plan that we were supposed to be doing for class. I will admit that I was a little confused on what exactly we were supposed to be doing in terms of practicing a lesson in the classroom. I am not in a classroom at the moment, so I thought I would do this and just kind of videotape what I would do in terms of a lesson and show some examples and non-examples based on the uh, lesson objective type or sections that Sue had put out. Just so you guys know, I'm using a little contraption called a swivel. And with a swivel, you basically put your iPad or iPhone onto it, and then you use this fancy remote that Bluetooths with the base, and basically it tracks you as you move throughout your class as you're teaching. Obviously, it's not really beneficial for me today, but kind of a cool little contraption. It is a little pricey. However, something maybe that your administrative team principal would consider to kind of help collaboration between teachers and through video. Anyway, I am going to talk a little bit about a lesson that I have with that I did or going to do with perimeter and area and calculating the perimeter and area of a rectangle. So to start off with, we're going to really focus on our objective, and our objective today is by the end of today, students will be able to calculate the perimeter and area of different rectangles. Notice that it is a learning goal that I'm using for students that they're going to track their progress on. A non-example of this would be, say, just listing out perimeter and area, page 132 of your math book. So really focusing on putting it on as a learning goal. Materials we're going to need are whiteboards, little mini whiteboards, our guided practice handouts, independent practice handouts, and a sticky note for each kid. So opening, we got to get the kids' attention. So my thought would be something like, as a teacher, I'm going to say something like, "Hey, who lives in a pineapple under the sea?" And the class is going to say, "SpongeBob SquarePants," right? Or I could say, "Shark bait," and the class would say, "Hoo ha ha." Some type of call and response activity. I think that would be fun for kids, a little bit more effective than say maybe turning the lights on and off or some of those things that we have seen in classrooms in the past. If you Google 50 fun call and response activities, there's a ton of them. Great ideas, and it gets kids' attention and gets them ready, focused on learning. Our daily review today, guys, is to review the definitions of perimeter and area. So using choral responses, wait for me, and I'm going to say the perimeter is on the inside or outside of the figure. Pause and go ahead and answer. And the area is on the inside or outside of the figure. Wait and go ahead and answer. And the kids would say outside, and then the kids would say outside. Making sure that you're practicing this procedure for kids to respond to you when you want to. And we're going to review perimeter and area by really focusing in on that the perimeter is on the outside of the figure, area is on the inside of the figure. One way we could do that is tell a quick story. This is something I've used when I was a teacher, but the Princess Aria, who is in the castle, and her dad, the king, would not allow her to be with the one who she loved, who was a village person named Perry. And Perry and Aria were madly in love. However, the king locked her up in the castle, and all Perry could do was walk around the outside of the castle waiting to meet her. So you have Aria inside the castle, and you have Perry wanting to meet her outside the castle. Kind of a fun way to review inside and outside of the figure, which would be area and perimeter. So now we are going to present our lesson on calculating the area of a rectangle. I'm going to set up my document camera, or I might have an iPad and an Apple TV, and I'm going to model calculating the area of a rectangle and a perimeter of a rectangle, which would be multiplying length times width, and then we're also going to add all the sides for the perimeter. So I'm going to draw a rectangle, and add numbers to the sides, and I will practice and demonstrate how we're going to multiply the inside and we're going to add the outside. Along this time, I'm going to say, hey guys, remember when we're calculating the perimeter, we're looking at the numbers on the outside of the figure, and when we're going to calculate the area, we're going to multiply the numbers on the inside of the figure. So I would practice that using a number of times that just modeling how I'm going to calculate those area and perimeter. Excuse me, we're going to go now to guided practice. So students are going to be receiving a mini whiteboard and a pen or marker, something to erase with. Again, making sure that we are reviewing our expectations and procedures of how to use the whiteboards. So having them flat on the desk, marker flat on the desk until I tell them to pick it up, things of that nature. How do I erase the whiteboard and be ready for the next one? Using the projector or whatever device you have, we're going to show a rectangle, and then I'm going to give kids 30 seconds. So guys, okay, here's a rectangle with 6 as the length and 2 as the width. Pause. Think about how you would calculate the area and the perimeter. Okay, now go ahead and draw the figure on your whiteboard, add the numbers, and calculate area and perimeter. When you are finished, hold up the whiteboard so I can see it. This is going to give me a quick check of the whole group. How are they doing with this concept? A non-example of this would be just having students working independently and not giving them feedback or assessment. So while kids are doing this with the whiteboards, I'm monitoring all students in the classroom. I'm going to give specific feedback to them as they are writing their answers down. We're going to do this for a few times to make sure that I know that the class has grasped the concept. We're going to continue with a little bit of guided practice / independent practice after that. So we're going to put our whiteboards away. We're going to have a handout that has also practice problems. While I'm doing this, I'm going to be actively supervising the class. I'm moving around. If you have read some of Anita Archer's stuff in Explicit Instruction or have seen her videos, you'll hear the phrase look around, walk around, talk around. She says that quite a bit, and it's really good practice here. So I'm moving around the classroom, and I am looking around and watching kids work. I'm walking around them, making sure they're on task, and I'm talking around. I'm giving specific feedback to kids based on their academic performance. So making sure that we are guiding practice and making sure that the kids are going on the right track. If they're not and they're not doing the correct procedures, then I'm going to stop and I'm going to make sure that they're doing it. If I see as a whole group that we're getting a little off track in terms of how to calculate perimeter and area, I might stop and then go back to kind of our whole group guided practice of we do type stuff. But I am moving around the classroom at this time and checking on kids as they are independently practicing. And then finally, I have a handout that I'm going to use as homework. Not very many problems, because not having a ton of problems isn't going to help the students in this manner. I'm going to have a set amount of problems, maybe 10, that I'm going to have students work on when they get home to practice the concept that we learn in class. So making sure that they kind of have that concept before they go, but having that at homework assigned. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to summarize the lesson. If you thought about different ways to summarize lessons, this is a really important concept. Unfortunately, in my time at middle school, what I noticed a lot in classes is the bell would ring and we hadn't really gotten a chance, and kids are out the door running to the next class. So I want to make sure I have time at the end of the lesson to summarize. And I might review concepts, maybe using choral responses again, on how to calculate the perimeter and the area. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give the students a sticky note, and I'm going to instruct them to draw a rectangle with a length of 6 centimeters and the height or the width of 3 centimeters. Students are then going to calculate the perimeter and the area, and then they're going to place the sticky note on the board or the door as they walk out of class. That's a middle school example. Elementary, you could have them put it on the whiteboard before they transition to the next subject. So then what I have is I have a kind of an idea of how each student has kind of taken the concept and run with it, and whether or not they're understanding everything I wanted them to understand. I'm pulling those sticky notes off, and I'm looking at those, and that's going to drive my instruction for the next lesson. A non-example of that would be just, like I kind of mentioned before, assigning the homework out the door, and kids are gone, and then we have to kind of just hope that they understood what we were talking about. So that is kind of my mini abbreviated lesson on perimeter and area. I hope that made sense and I didn't go too quickly, but I just kind of, again, wasn't sure of the concept or the direction we wanted to go with this, and since I wasn't in a classroom, I thought I'd just kind of talk to you guys this way. Let me know if you have any questions. And again, hope everything is going well with you. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the beautiful weather, and we will talk soon. Thanks.